always slows it down. All right. Good morning, Diesel Nation and the Next Level Legends. I'm so excited to be here today to host, there we go, letting the waiting room in, to host and co-host a recruiting blitz with you guys with none other than the Peyton Goodmanson. So today we're going to work a little bit on how do you start recruiting and where do you start, what do you do, all of those things. And then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of actually recruiting. So first off, grab your pen and paper and we're going to go over a few things. So first off, I want you guys to do a little bit of homework. When you look back at your social media, I want you to go through your profile and it should tell me 3 things. And you can audit this yourself, or I like to use a Success Club partner, or if you have maybe your coach or someone you work with in the business. But your profile should say 3 things immediately. It should say you're in some sort of health and fitness realm, that you coach or run groups, and that other people can do it with you. I think it's really important because when people come to your profile, if it says nothing about that, it's really hard to know. Let me let these people. It's really hard to know what we do as coaches. And so it's a lot easier to invite to what you're doing when people have an idea or know what you're doing. So I'll go through the last 3 months of some of my coaches when I'm working with them one-on-one. And I always tell them and talk to them about what they're not sharing on social media about coaching. So we're going to talk about our social media and how recruiting becomes a whole heck of a lot easier when we use your social media as a daily sneak peek. Now, the sneak peeks that Diesel Nation runs for us are absolutely incredible, but they happen like once a month. So I want you to think about that. What's going on for the other 3 to 4 weeks of that month? Well, hopefully you're using your social media every single day as your sneak peek into your business, right? Because that's going to make it a whole heck of a lot easier when you do send a coaching invite, an opportunity invite, that people already know what you're talking about, okay? So I try to post something about coaching every single day, some way, shape or form of what I do as coaching. Almost not every single post, but majority of my posts go back to the opportunity and the freedom this has created me, right? Like even if I'm talking about my kids, I tie it back into like, this would not be possible if I didn't take a leap of faith and do this coaching thing, okay? Here we go, we got one in the waiting room. Okay, so what are the things you can talk about? Well, you're gonna talk about everything that you would be talking about on a sneak peek. So the comp plan, what you do as daily coach activities, success stories, and one of my really big strengths is I battle objections publicly every single day. If I send an invite and someone says, the money objection, I know I'm not doing a good job of talking about that publicly. So what do? I go back and I explain the value of our products. I explain what they get in the challenge group. If it's time, I talk about how my husband's gone all the time, especially with fires. I talk about practically being a single mom, running a business, all the crazy of my life. And if I can do it, they can too. When you start battling objections publicly, it's going to be a whole heck of a lot easier to send that invite and handle it before, they have the chance to object, because you're showing them that, that isn't really a verifiable objection. And another thing I have to just add is, if one of your followers is saying it or has that objection, you can guarantee there's at least 5 to 10 others that just haven't brought it to your attention. Okay, so let's really start trying to battle those objections publicly, because that's what we would do in a sneak peek. Another thing I always talk about is what your life would look like without coaching, right? It's super important that you talk about who you were before coaching and compare it to who you are now. And the more you do this, that helps with that invite. And when they get that invite, it puts them in a relatable position to know that they can do this too. It intrigues them to want to know more about coaching, because if I'm doing it and this is where I was before and this is where I am now, that is, people need to see your before to believe in their after. because sometimes they see you now and they're like, well, yeah, that's easy for her, right? So if you relate to your before, they'll see their after, because that's the whole, if she did it, I can too. So, okay, so where do you start? The first thing, Peyton and I do this almost weekly on our calls with our teams, but where do you start? I like to tell my people and all my team to make a list of 50 people. And how I do it is, if you are having the next big life event, you're graduating college, you're having a baby, you're getting married, anything like that, who are 50 people that you would invite to that life event? Right? Those are going to be my very first 50 people that I reach out to. And Peyton prepared some amazing scripts that I will post in the chat that you can have that to use when we get into the meat and potatoes of this. And Pay, if you want to jump in at any time with any of this, you totally can. But I invite those 50 people because they're your warm market to support you in your new business endeavor, right? Explain how you're going to support them on the flip side. They're coming in and supporting your business, and you're going to support them in their fitness, right? So there's two sides of the coin. Invite them to do this with you as added accountability and discount, right? And that how coaching will level up their results, like the massive accountability boost. So sometimes it's just for the discount, or maybe it is just accountability, or maybe it's because they need the added coaching community to help them get better results. You have anything, Pay, on where do we start?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you guys, these 50 people, I know it sounds crazy, and I'm sure you've like heard this on other calls, but sending 50 invites of like, hey, you want to join me in this business, or you want to sign up as a discount coach, really sets a strong foundation for you. And I teach my coaches this from the day that they sign up, because I started this business deployed. I was out at sea on an LHD. I worked 12-hour shifts, and I was on the other side of the world. So when all of you guys were sleeping, I was working. And all I had was Facebook, but Facebook Messenger. I didn't even have a Facebook feed. I couldn't get on Instagram. When I pulled into port, I'd have my phone, but you're in another country, and so they have their own restrictions. Like one country I went to, Instagram couldn't even open. So when you send these 50 people this invite, and you're just putting it out there, I started a business and I want you to join me. And this business might be something that you might be really interested in, or you might just be interested in the discount. It plants a seed. And that's how I started my, that's how I built to 2-Star. So sorry, the chat's going crazy and more people are trying to come in. So look at these 50 invites as, when we'll send you the scripts, word it to make it sound like you, but plant the seed for the business. If you're inviting them as a discount coach, so you can build your way to diamond and emeralds, or if you want that controlled account under another family member, always plant the seed for adding the business into it.
Absolutely. And that's something too we'll talk about as far as, I said on Tuesday's call as well, if you were on there, I sign everyone as a discount coach. I mean, we obviously have the conversation about it before we just do it, but there's no reason why we wouldn't sign them as a coach out of the gate, right? Of course, I talk about the $15.95 fee, but I also stress the discount. I stress the added accountability. So that's another thing where if they're just adamant about being a customer, that's great. And then they go on my follow-up to make sure that's something we convert to in the next month or two. So after that list of 50 people, make sure you're inviting your challengers every single month. And don't just post it in your challenge group. Send them an invite specifically to them, like personally. Tailor that. Say, you're doing so great in this challenge group and cheering everybody on and being such a major part of this group. I know you would be amazing at coaching. Why don't you give it a try? You can start out small, just add your people to my group, Something like that. Like, don't make it overwhelming, keep it simple, but tell them how good they would be at coaching. Okay, and you know your challengers, but I invite every single challenger. So maybe the script's just different as far as like a discount coach, challenger invite, or a, oh my gosh, woman, you are already killing it. Let's do this and let's build you a business. Those kind of things. And I think a lot of times we just don't talk about it enough. So make sure you are doing posts, specific call to actions to the business. When I look through a lot of the teams, my team and specifically, I will go through their social media and I'm like, when was your last call to action for coaching? Oh, I'm nervous. And I guarantee you we were all scared. I was there too. Like, I didn't want to invite to this business. It's not that I didn't want to, because I love this business, but I was scared, and I was scared of, the refusal and all of those. And I'm going to go over that in just a second. But I think it's super important, whether it's a post about just talking about the opportunity and how it's changed you, all the way to those posts that are like, I'm looking for my next 5 members of my dream team. And I know you've been thinking about it. I love the ones where like you speak to people just like, I know you've been thinking about this because you're continuing to watch my journey. Now's the time to jump aboard, right? So make sure you're putting those posts about it, and you have to just talk to more people. A lot of times, we're like, I sent my 5 invites, and that's why we're saying 50, and you have your little tracker sheets that are in the files of this group of there's 50 little bodies on that, because we want you inviting 50 people to this coaching opportunity. And don't let that overwhelm you. You don't have to do that many today, but that should be a goal in these next at least 4 weeks of making sure you are inviting to the opportunity specifically, not just to the challenge group. And there's all sorts of ways to do this. If you're scrolling your Instagram and you see this girl who's like way into fitness or super into her nutrition, it's okay to just reach out and say, I love your post and all your content. Have you ever thought about coaching? And they'll be like, what's coaching? What are you talking about? Right? And that's just your way in to start explaining what we do in this business. So talk more about your life in the coaching realm. Talk more about how coaching has changed your life, right? And I always say, invite like no one's listening. If you were like just to send invites and there not be any repercussion to it, just send them. Just send them. You cannot care, because there was a call, I think years ago when you got started, right? You got this call with Carl, and he talked about 4 things. There's 4 possible outcomes. This was like my first call. I think it was when we used to hit success starters. Now you guys get into test groups, but back in the day, you got this pre-recorded call with Carl. And there was a really awesome takeaway with that. He said there's 4 outcomes to the coaching invite, right? The first one is obviously a yes, and they jump all in, which if that was the situation every time, wouldn't you just be like, yay, they say yes every time? But not so much. It's usually 5 to 7 points of contact that you have to invite, right? So there's no, not right now, which means you get to follow up with them in a little while. Like we said on Tuesday, there isn't really like a 3-day or a week. It depends on the person and the situation. But a no, not right now, still means you get to follow up. A no, absolutely not, is your chance to ask for a referral. And what's great is a lot of times if you say, okay, I get it, the coaching thing's not for you, but is there anyone that you think it would be good for? And a lot of times people are like, wait, you're going to invite my friends? I'll do it. Like it can reverse that into like, okay, I want to do it, right? So don't ever look at a no as like a no. It's a no, not right now, follow up. No, absolutely not. Ask for the referral. And if it's still a no, like someone has continually been like, no, 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 no. I mean, I've been doing this 6 years. There are still some people that have not said yes. And I like to ask them for advice. I just like to say, is there anything I could explain better about coaching in my next conversation? Or was there anything I was unclear about? Or, anything you could give me an advice to make, a better conversation for the next person. And usually that person will give you advice, and it's not too long after that they're like, because you're able to, whatever that objection is or whatever they give you advice on, you answer that and you handle that. And then they're like, oh, you know what? I'll give it a try. So don't feel like no is just no, okay? We're in this for the long haul. It's totally a marathon. And some of the no's I got 6 years ago are definite yeses today. So just stay consistent with the invite. Okay, Paige, do you have anything to add as far as like how we're gonna just do this? Be positive, keep going, stay consistent.
Someone in the chat asked if we could talk to those who have been doing the business longer. So I was in my back office yesterday just playing around because I do that a lot. And I realized I've hit Success Club. I've been a coach for 19 months and I've hit Success Club every single month because I make it a non-negotiable. And I've only signed a handful of customers. I've only ever signed coaches. And like Katrina was saying, I always plant the seed, and my coaches will start signing people up. Almost every month, I have a brand new coach who doesn't want to coach, but she signs up a friend or a family member. And then I get that leadership point for it, or whatever the ranking points are. I don't know how you get to elite. I'm just here having a good time. But it's because I'm planting the seed. So if you're afraid to send, I know some of you are newer, I know some of you have been here longer. When I send business, I always talk about it in my story first. So before I start sitting down and sending coaching invites, the day before I'll talk about, I'm starting a coach mentorship. And I talk about how it changed my life. And I say, if you're following along, like if I saw your name pop up, you're going to get an invite. So then they're warned. And I even put it in text because you have listeners and then you just have the people who tap, 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 or you have the readers. So I say it and I put it in text. So they know that they're going to be hearing from me. Sorry. Yes, James. She wants to be a part of the call too. And then the next day I go in and the very first thing I do is invite to my story. Hey, I noticed you've been following along and you follow along often. Has what I've shared about coaching ever sparked your interest, or do you have any questions about it? Because this has really changed my life and I just want to pay it forward. And I get a lot of like, girl, I could never put myself out there. It's so terrifying, or that's so not my thing, but I'm here to support you. But it opens the door. And again, it plants that seed and you get to have that conversation. And a lot of the time that conversation leads to them signing up. And then they later ask questions about coaching. I am one of those people that I have to send all my invites and then walk away from my phone. I have to like get hyped. I take my Energize, I listen to my favorite song, I say a prayer, I set a timer, I send as many as I can within that time frame, and then I walk away and I do something super fun, or I play with my daughter, or I just get out of the house and go for a walk. Because it is a little nerve-wracking. We are putting ourselves out there, and you guys, every single person on the planet, even the most successful people, they still get that sweaty palms when they send that business invite, because everyone has a dream sheet. So just know that you're not alone in that fear. And I don't want to take up your entire morning. So Katrina and I will send out these scripts and we'll start working and we'll build some diamonds and we'll gain some coaches and we'll have a good time learning.
Okay, let's see. So I was just answering the chat. So, okay, I'm going to put a few scripts here in the chat. These are to give you ideas, so change them around, make them your own, and go through your followers. So where are you going to invite from? I invite from my story viewers. I invite from anyone who liked or commented on a post, same as always, like you would invite to the challenge group opportunity. But I also think inviting straight from combing through your friends list, whether that be on Instagram or Facebook, is really important. Go back and look who's been following you for the longest time and say, like, I see you're still following me through this incredible journey. Are you ready to jump in and give it a try? The invite does not have to be, info packed and everything they need to know about coaching. It's just a few sentences to kind of spark the interest. When they say no, you can ask them why not. Anybody that watches anything, sorry, I was letting people in, so I lose my squirrel brain here. anyone that's worked with me on any of my power hours or how I go through my invite process knows that I am very, very to the point. I'm very black and white. There is no like, yay, I'm just like, get that invite out there and then let's talk about it and build that relationship. Well, what's holding you back? Well, you know, why do you feel that way? That's when I start talking about it. I mean, yes, I'm building the invite between engaging and commenting and liking through posts, but I build that true trust relationship with the invite. I feel like Christy Kozner told me a long time ago, it's a whole lot easier to say a lot less to a whole lot more people to achieve that goal than it is to say a whole lot to less people, right? So I just started sending the invite. Like it's one of those Hail Marys. Send it, send it, send it, send it, send it, and then we'll go back and talk about it, okay? So that's how I get it done, okay? So try to make that list of 50. That's a really big help for me. I still go through if the next life event happened, who I would invite to that, because there's different seasons in life, right? Of where you are. It's very different when you started 6 years ago. You know, I was like, well, that would have been, you know, invite to a baby shower, where now I'm like, it might be a retirement party, right? So those people in that time frame, those 50 people have definitely changed. So I want to keep updating those 50 people in my warm market that I want to join, okay? So make sure you're doing that. Your 50 people, your stories, your posts, any engagements, and then go through your following A to Z, right? That's not a bad thing. It's also a great way to, you know, remove followers or friends, and that's how I kind of keep up with my social medias. So you feel free to ask any questions as we go through this, but I also feel like I have to put an invite in here because all the time my team tells me, what do I do if it's someone who has just ghosted me? Like, how do I continue to invite? I know this girl would be amazing. I know she needs this in her life, but it's just crickets. So I dug through literally out of what I've said in the past to like look through like, oh, I'm holding a conversation with myself. And a good response that I get is, hey girl, I see that you've seen my message. That puts the ball back in their court, right? And I know that coaching isn't for you because they're not responding, right? And that's totally cool. But I'm in the business of creating wealth and physical and financial results for everybody. And I would love to know if there was anything that I didn't say correctly. This is one of those advice things, or anything that I could have explained better to make that go, you know, in my, you know, not, you don't have to say in my favor, but to go better in the next conversation. That, when I started asking for that advice, and believe me, I was scared to put it out there. I was like, it's kind of showing my fault, right? But when I became vulnerable and started putting that out there and asking for their advice, I've never had a person then not answer. And then it started the conversation of like, girl, I totally respect what you do, but I just don't know if I could do it. I'm scared, right? They start talking to you about it and you're like, I was in the same boat, and you can then relate to them. So I'm going to go ahead and post that response here. If people are ghosting you, or maybe you need to ask a few people for advice in that fourth outcome of your invite. And then I have a ton of other invites that I can totally share with you. Like a lot of times people ask me, what do you say when you send the coach cart? And, you know, we've talked about the coaching opportunity, and then they're like, hey, it looks like I'm signing up for a coach. And I simply say, I sign up, you know, all my girls that way because they're receiving a 25% discount. Yes, there's this fee, but it also helps with shipping. So I'll put that in there as well. Let's see, and does anybody have any questions? I want you to feel free to ask them, but this is going to be a working hour, so I think we'll get started, but I want you to feel free to ask questions.
I have a question in terms of like who you follow versus like who's following you and when you reach out, because I know I fall into the category where it's like all my aunts and uncles and cousins are also on my Instagram and Facebook pages, and like I've already reached out to them and they've all been like, proud of you, glad for what you're doing. Like they're on my dirt list but they're not interested in buying my dirt, I guess you could say. But in terms of like making sure that your feed is also like relatable to them in the sense that like they're checking, like you're offering them the opportunity again but also realizing that like they may not be interested, I guess, like kind of keeping that balance of who you're following versus like I guess doing the polite following because they're family, in terms of like cleaning out your social media.
Excellent.
So I keep on Instagram, I keep the collections, like, because I have a lot of really random followers, and I coached volleyball for middle school kids. My sister now coaches at the same school that I used to, and so all of her girls follow me. And so I have a bunch of like teeny boppers that keep coming to my feed, and now that I have a really cute baby, they're even more about it, so more of their friends are coming. So the way that I keep up with the people that I actually want to engage with is I put them in a collection, and then I just go to that collection, and I'm always loving and liking. And then I silence or I mute all the other people, because then it's like, oh, I'm still following you, but I don't have to always see your stuff. And then Facebook, I just do like I'm really forgetful. Mom brain and pregnancy brain has me like, I'm so forgetful. So I have it on my phone in my notes, because Facebook doesn't have like or at least I haven't found the feature to like save a collection on Facebook. So I keep it in my notes, and I always go back to that, because I always have my phone. I don't always have my notepad or my computer, but I always have my phone. So if I'm sitting in a waiting room, or if I'm waiting somewhere, like waiting for a table somewhere, then I can go through that really quick. But I have a ton of family, and I invite them nonstop. My mother-in-law is not a fan of me. She does not like me whatsoever. She gets an invite once a week. She doesn't get a happy birthday text, but she gets an invite once a week, because one day she's going to say yes to me. Yeah.
It's kind of like playing
But
chess.
I think we should start sending invites.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we should start sending invites so people aren't nervous.
Yes. So here's another one in there. So comb through the chat. If you need those invites, we'll put a Google Doc together right after. I actually have them all saved on a doc right here, so it would be easy to just upload. So comb through there, find one that's yours. Make sure that you tweak it so it sounds like your verbiage. Like sometimes my girls tell me, your stuff says rad, and rad's not my word. I'm like, then take rad out, right? Like if I say, I think you'd be a rad coach, and you've never used the word rad, do not send that invite. Make it yours, okay? So make them your own, and then let's go out. We've got 50 people that we should definitely try to hit in this little time frame. I think we should have, about 30 minutes. I think you could probably get 50 out. Do your best. And we're here for questions.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Gina. Hi. I'm wondering, I use a lot of that language, Katrina, that you use about like, basically like when someone's getting ready to sign up though, I ask them like, you have two options. I think I got it from Melissa Galame to sign up, like either as a customer, regular challenger, or as a VIP, blah, 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 with a discount. But I do usually say like, but you don't worry, like don't panic. You don't have to coach anyone right away, or you don't have to, you don't do what I do, but it'll just give you the discounts, no extra charge. So how do you like reframe that as like, but if you want, or, or like if, if you do know anybody that might be interested in doing this with you or something like that, like, to like kind of shift it from like, don't worry about coaching. Oh, actually, maybe you do know someone, like what, how do you kind of like shift that tone a little bit?
Absolutely. So I just always ask them if there's anyone that they would want to do this with as an accountability buddy, right? Like, do you think your husband would want to support you? Do you have a coworker or a good friend? I ran a mom and daughters group. right? Like I always just explain to them that I've found that when people have, outside of my groups, have one other person or two other people checking in with them, they have better results. And I just say it like it is. That is true fact and statement. When you have someone else checking in with you, you know, you're like, I posted in the group. You know, did you post in the group? That extra accountability really helps. And so I just ask them, like, if you want to do this with a buddy, you know, I've noticed that results, you know, happen tenfold. That's usually what I'll say. And if you know anybody, I'd be happy to sign them up right underneath you. You'd get it just like you did, and you'll get $50 back towards your product. And usually they're like, what, per person, $50? You know, I could find 2 or 3 people. And then it's like, they brought it up, not me. You know what I mean? Like I just gave them the opportunity. I just handed it to them. And they're like, I could probably get my mom, I could get my sister, I could get my coworker, those kind of things. Okay, so you have these scripts, let's get to work. Oh, go ahead, Kay.
Caveat after that.
Mm-hmm.
Once they sign up as a discount coach, I always say like, okay, I'm going to send you an email with like the getting started right stuff. And mine always has 3 links. Even if they're a discount coach, they get a coach getting started right call. They get a challenger or a coach getting started right guide. They get a challenger guide that just gives them the basics of how to use BOD and their containers. Because I really focus on nutrition. And then I have a military fee waiver because you'd be shocked how many people are married to a veteran or are a veteran or served in the reserves. And they're like, oh God, like that's waived. But in the email, if they're a discount coach, it talks about like the last line is, now you have the extra perk. If your mom wants to do it, you'll get the referral. And then I get a lot of emails back like, oh, if I sign someone up, I can make money back. Like I have a friend who's a single mom and she really wants to do it, but can't afford it. Like, could I give her the referral fee? I'm like, heck yeah. Then your friend only signs up for $100. Like you're a really good friend. So I plant it all over. Like I have it in the email that I send from Beachbody directly. I have it in the Getting Started Right email that I send them. And I'm constantly talking about it in my challenge groups. So the more that you talk about it, the more you'll feel comfortable talking about it and the more natural it'll be.
Love it. Okay, I'm gonna set a 10-minute timer. And I want you guys to get as many in as you can in that 10 minutes, and I'll check back in with you. Could probably put some music on for you guys.
At T-Mobile, you can get 2 powerful iPhone 11 Pros on us. The 3 cameras are perfect for capturing my DIY projects. I'm repainting our car.
Wow, the ultra-wide camera really captures all the planes.
Switch today and get 2 new lines for $90, plus 2 iPhone 11 Pros on us with qualified trade. Plus text fee.
Kat, I think someone's trying to get in. I just got a message.
There's no one in the waiting room. And
Okay.
to Carol, who asked about the fee waiver, I'll put the link in the chat. I always put it in my Getting Started Right email, so like they don't even have to go and find it. I also have it saved in my notes. It's very convenient.
Thank you. Yes, we can share our Getting Started Right emails in the page. Andrea asked us for that. That's no problem. Thank you guys for adding your invites to the thread. I'm going through all these and adding them to this doc, so we'll have it in the group. Okay, guys, that was about actually like 12 minutes. How's everybody doing? Any questions pop up so far? Good, keep working.
I have a question. I put it in the chat, but what do you do when you send an invite and that person ropes you into a really long, drawn out conversation? How do you like kind of cut it and get to the chase?
Well, I think it kind of depends on the conversation, maybe what they're talking about. But I mean, I just depends on what they're saying to you. But I just, kind of respond to what they've said, and then said, I go right into my invite. I'm glad things are going so well. Hopefully it was a good conversation, right? Glad things are going so well for you. Things are going great in my coaching business. It's absolutely so rewarding, and I think you would benefit from this as well. Would you be interested in hearing more about what I do? You always just respond to what they're talking about, take in their consideration and feelings, but then rope it back into the invite. Absolutely. Another thing when you're going through your followers or your friends, I think it's super important that you remember not to hold this gift back. What we do is a gift. I firmly believe that. And even as I go through, I'm like, like you get that little, like Peyton said, your sweaty palms, right? Maybe I don't invite that person. But I have to look back as if I was never invited to this opportunity, and what a void I would have in my life, right? Like, who am I to choose who I hold that back from? So I'm sure you've heard it 1,000 times, but that's not your decision to make. So all you can do is put the ball in their court, and maybe it's a yes, maybe it's a no, but either way, you did your job of sharing the gift, right? So don't get caught up on like, oh, I don't know, what would they think about me, or what if they say no, or any of those things, or maybe it's not right for them, because that's not my decision. I tell myself that all the time. Who am I to decide if this is right for them or not? That's their decision, right? So a lot of times I keep in the forefront of my mind, where would I be without this business? Or if this business wasn't a part of my life, there would be such a dramatic void of all things: health, fitness, friendship, faith, financial. Like, I could go on and on of what voids would be in my life without it. And so I don't want to be the person that holds any of that back from any person that may be following my story, or one of my friends on Facebook, whether it is my mom and she just wants the discount, or it's my good friend from high school, or wherever, right? So make sure you just keep that in mind. Like, it's your gift to give. So if they take it, at least the ball's in their court.
I have a quick question. If you're scrolling through and inviting from your Instagram stories, do you start like at the beginning, or if you post like 3 or 4 videos in a row, do you kind of go for the people that have like watched all the way through, or do you invite everybody?
Oh, I invite everybody, but I go all the way back. Like if I'm looking at my slides, I'm going to go to the earliest one from yesterday because it has the most views, right? And so I'm going to just start there, and everybody will get an invite. And if they're already like a customer, that's a good time to invite them to the coaching opportunity, right? And if they're already in my network, it's a great time to be like, hey babe, how you holding up? Right? Life's crazy right now. Anything I can help you with? So everybody, like sometimes there's 400 views, 500 views on my story, and it takes a little bit of time, but that's how I engage. Like that's how I keep viewing and engaging with their stuff as well. But that's where the majority of my invites come from, are people that are following and liking and commenting and watching my story. And so that's why sometimes they get invites really close together. That's what on Tuesday's call I said I don't really have a, oh, I wait 3 days. I mean, it depends on how the conversation goes, right? If they ghost me, I say this a lot, but sometimes I do like the little scared of eye emojis, you know, and be like, did I scare you? Like you're still watching, but you didn't see anything. So now I feel weird. Did I scare you? You know? And they're always like, no, girl, I'm just so busy. So I also add humor into it. Like I'm human, right? And it doesn't have to be super structured or strict, or I'm a hot mess fly by the seat of my pants. I'm sure we all are. No offense if you're not. But I think having, you know, this regimen of like, this is my script, also gets a little like, okay, I invited you yesterday. What do I do different today? No, I'm just like, girl, you're still watching. You didn't respond. What's up? You know, just have fun with it and be you. And a lot of times they'll be totally honest with you. Like, I love your stuff. You're so inspiring. I'm just not ready yet. And now that is the perfect response, because I love to say, well, what's holding you back? This has been so amazing for my life, for my kids, for my husband, life-changing. I'm sure you've watched it. And they're like, I just couldn't do what you do. Well, why not? You don't have to do it at the level I do it, right? And so sometimes those can get really, really deep, but those in turn usually end up being my best coaches, because they're coming out. And it literally started with the eye emoji, right? Being scared, or, you know, did I scare you? So just make sure you're continuing to show up in their inbox, because that's part of the consistency piece. Okay, let's see. Yes, especially right now in the world we're in, you might get people saying like things aren't going so hot. And I totally relate to them. Like for me right now, virtual school is not the greatest, right? I feel like they're writing either a country song about my life or we're playing Jumanji. I'm not really sure, but I totally relate back to that as like, girl, I'm in the same boat with you. I totally feel for you. And things have got to get better. But what has really kept my head above water is the fact that I work on myself every single day with my workout, my nutrition, and a supportive community of other like-minded individuals who support me in this journey, no matter the season of life. Together we weather the storm. Like that's, and I'm just talking to you, like that's not written anywhere. That's exactly what I would say to somebody, because more times than not, I've had to fall back on this amazing community, right? Like between the fires, my husband gone, now we're virtual learning. If I didn't have this community, you guys, like, I don't know where I'd be. I'm a crazy boat, right? So I tell people that, like, this is everything. This is my sanity, right? Head down, working, and making that better for everyone. So that's what I would say if someone writes back like things are not going well. Relate to them with where you're at. And tell them we're in this together. I know that sounds cliche, so you can change that how you need to, but we all are in this together. Okay, Andrea. Our policy on other MLMs, yes, I mean, they could be a coach. The only thing is you know, if they go diamond and beyond, they have to choose. Like if they're just doing it for the discount, that's okay. But you can't really, you're not supposed to build two MLMs.
My sister's Zaya, and she's a coach. Yeah. My sister's like way up in Zaya. and she's a Beachbody coach. She's one of my controlled accounts because she's a veteran.
Okay, so we have about 5 minutes and we'll wrap up. Is there any other questions that anybody has? I hope you guys got out some good invites. We will definitely post the scripts into the team or into this group page. But now would be a good time if you have any questions that you want answered live, that we can do that for you.
Katrina, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I don't think it matters, but it's just a random question. I have one that I'm following that she's been she's been exercising every day. That's what she posts every day. She has about 13,000 followers. I did view her Instagram, and it doesn't seem that she's connected to any company, but the Sweet Sweat ambassador, the thing in the belt, whatever, the sweat thing. Would that be a good person to invite to the coach opportunity? I'm just asking because of how much followers she has, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, I invite everyone. And I myself am a personal trainer, and I love working out at the gym, but right now our gym is closed, right? And so I'm inviting every personal trainer, because I'm like, even if the gym was open and I get paid $100 an hour in the gym, I can only work with one person in an hour, right? When floor time doesn't matter, I still get paid residual income, and I can work with as many people in that hour as I see fit, right? And I don't have to leave my house. I can do it all virtually. So I truly believe if you feel like her content and what she's posting and she feels like your tribe, I would definitely throw it out there. Just make sure that you're ready to come back with, the value of the coaching opportunity and why she would be a good fit. And other than that, I honestly believe I invite everybody, right? I even invite gym owners. I think that this business opportunity has a niche for every person, no matter their walk of life or where they're at, right? It's how they want to build this and how they want to work it. So group fitness instructors, we can't even do group classes in the state of California. So yeah, what are you guys doing now? Like that, even if it was side income, it was a drastic loss. And so it's like, you can still use Beachbody On Demand as homework for your clients in the interim, right? And I usually start with our products. I sell them on the fact that our performance line is absolutely amazing, energized compared to C4 and those kind of things. So anyone already versed in the fitness industry is a total hot market for me, because I love to show them the potential of what we offer, right? So definitely, I invite everybody.
Which is crazy because it's crazy because I did the same thing. I invited somebody that was in UFit, and obviously she can't, she was a trainer in UFit. And I invited her perfect. She didn't have that much of a following, but I thought, well, if she's not working right now, it would be great. But I guess I was standoffish because I was like, wow, this lady has like 30-something thousand followers. It's crazy. But she doesn't seem to be a fitness instructor or anything. It's just her sharing her journey. And she works out from home. She's been doing it from the get-go. So I was just kind of like standoffish on that one.
No, absolutely. Send that invite.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, that's our last minute. So I want to thank you guys for getting up super early. I hope we didn't talk too much and that you got some invites out. I'll get the document up in the group right away. So if you want to continue working, that's perfect. I can even leave it on, but I'm going to stop recording because nobody needs all that lag time. But honestly, this is your chance to really move your business forward. Try to mark off all of those little people counters on your page and hit 50. I'm going to try and do mine today, all 50 in one day, 50 coaching invites. All right.